Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Made in Ontario podcast by Ontario Soccer. I'm your host, Rebecca Chouinard. I'm new to Ontario Soccer, and I'm so happy to be here in such an exciting time for this sport. I'm looking forward to working with the team here to bring you stories about our soccer heroes, especially those made in Ontario. With the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup fast approaching, today we sit down with a standout center back from Canada Soccer's women's national team. She was first called up to Team Canada in 2019, and over the weekend she was named as part of the official roster for the FIFA Women's World Cup this summer. Joining us today from the pre-tournament camp in Australia is Vanessa Gilles. Vanessa, thank you so much for being here with us. How are things going down under?
Yeah, things are going good. We got our whole team finally together for the first training session today, so things are going good. We're ramping up and getting ready for our first practice game against England coming up in a few days.
Very exciting. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit today about your journey as a soccer player leading up to where you are right now. Many athletes who play for Team Canada were born and raised in Canada and have played soccer from the time they were very young, but we know that isn't the case for you. So would you mind telling us a little bit about growing up and when you started out your soccer career?
Yeah, I grew up in Asia up until I was around 12. Then I moved back to Canada with my family. Played tennis for a bit until 15, and then I got into soccer once I quit tennis. Started off as a goalkeeper, was a little bit too lonely, and hopped into center back since I was head of the ball, and yeah, here we are.
So at 16, you said you quit tennis and chose to focus on soccer. What was it that led you to make that decision?
Yeah, I think for me, I quit tennis. I was at a competitive level, and it was, really hard mentally, obviously, in an individual sport. And it was hard for me, obviously, to quit and take that stance. And when I did, I just wanted to be with friends and have fun. And my friends played soccer, so I just joined in for fun.
Yeah, there you go. Is there any skills or I guess any type of talent or anything like that that you've taken from your tennis training or tennis career and translated into your soccer playing?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's like more and more research coming out nowadays about the benefits of being a multi-sport athlete and not just focusing on one path early on. I think the benefit of growing up in Asia is there were no competitive sports you could really focus on. So you kind of got to play every single sport, not at a great level, but you got to touch on all different kinds of sports, racket sports, ball sports, track, judo, everything. And so coming to Canada and focusing just on tennis, I think was the shift for me and that I wasn't expecting or wasn't ready for. But having focused in on tennis and obviously the like plyometrics that go into it and the ball reading and the hand-eye coordination and moving and tracking the ball is something that I've definitely applied and has helped me get to where I am having started so late.
All right. So you decide that soccer is the sport that you're going to move forward with, and then you join the Ottawa Capital United Soccer Club. Can you tell us anything about your time with that club? Maybe some of the best memories you have, or if there's any coach or former co-athlete that was there that had a special impact on you?
Yeah, so like I said, I started soccer because all my closest friends played soccer, and I got into CapU because my closest friends played for that club, and so I had a little connection to get me on the team. And thankfully, the coach, who is still one of the best coaches I've ever had, the greatest human beings ever, who took me in, Raz in Ottawa. Obviously, he kind of made the culture in that club. It was a small club. I mean, Ottawa was a small city, but CapU was even a smaller club. I think we had like two women's teams, the 96s and the 95s, and he just made the atmosphere such a tight-knit and family oriented club, which made me fall in love with the sport even more. Coming to practice was like hanging out with your friends, and thankfully they were all the best players in the city as well. And so quickly I made my best friends today are still my best friends that I started soccer with all those years ago at CapU. And we had so much fun. We won titles, which Ottawa is not used to doing in soccer, being such a small city and having to travel to Toronto all the time. But we made do. We traveled to Toronto every weekend to play games. We won those games. We went on to, a lot of us, playing university and a high level. So, I think a lot has to do with the coach, Raz, and the atmosphere and the culture he instilled in us.
That's great. So you start your soccer career in Ontario at 16, then you go on to play 4 years at the University of Cincinnati. Shortly after, you sign your first professional contract with the first pro team you played for, and then you make your debut for Team Canada. What an amazing career. Do you have any advice for players based in Ontario who may be just getting into the sport, maybe a little bit late to the game like you were in your teen years? What advice might you have for them if they aspire to have a career like yours?
It's a loaded question.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely just say, from Ontario, like, don't close any doors. Don't say no to things just because it's, the norm of doing certain things. And so, I went to the University of Cincinnati. It wasn't necessarily a big school for soccer. I went to Cyprus to play soccer. It's definitely not a great league, but it was the only way forward for me. And if I had said no to that, I definitely wouldn't be here today, um, and so forth. So I think just don't close any doors that you might have, and just keep all your options open.
That's great advice. So at this point, you've been all over the world with Team Canada. What are some of your greatest memories with that team?
I mean, winning gold was pretty fun.
Yep, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think just like the behind the doors moments that people don't see behind the scenes. So like, even just, like hanging out, playing Mario Kart together, or ping pong, or just hanging out and chatting in the Canada room, like those moments that are obviously not televised and have nothing to do with sports, but that make being away from friends and family, being away from home, still worthwhile.
Yeah, sure. And so, as you're all gearing up for the World Cup coming up here in just about a week, what is the main focus for your team at this point?
Yeah, like I said, all of us are finally back together, which has been a while since we really have been all together, with injuries having really plagued us this year. The main focus is just going to be gelling, is getting into a flow. We have a practice game coming up, so it'll be getting down the details and just getting a rhythm moving into the tournament in a couple weeks.
Wonderful. Well, Vanessa, I'm sure you've got a tight schedule as the World Cup, as we said, is just about a week away. So I'll let you get back to it. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us at Ontario Soccer today. We are so grateful for your time, and we wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good
Have a
one.
great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Made in Ontario podcast. Follow us on social and subscribe to our newsletter, Inside the 18, for all the latest info in the Ontario soccer community. The details can be found at ontariosoccer.net. Lastly, we would like to thank our premier partners, Toronto FC, the Canadian Premier League, Atletico Ottawa, Hamilton Forge, York United, Dairy Farmers of Ontario, and BMO Bank of Montreal for supporting our mission of building the Ontario soccer community.